What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Offseason episode number 3 of the Hardwood Rundown podcast. Post-draft day, the draft was obviously yesterday with plenty of trades going down. We had our first blockbuster trade of the offseason. Russell Westbrook getting traded to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and the 22nd pick from yesterday's draft. Not too sure who they actually picked. Yeah, let's just start off with that. This is kind of going to be like trade rumors, but I wrote down all the rumors that I came across, and it was all Laker associated. So after the Westbrook trade, I'm just assuming those rumors are pretty much thrown out the window. But Lockie, what are your thoughts on the Westbrook trade?
Man, I don't know if it's going to work. I can see it working, but just the fact that like Westbrook's not a spot-up shooter doesn't sit well with LeBron. I still feel like they're going to be so good with Russ and Bron and AD. But I feel like whoever they have at their shooting guard position is like really important, and whether AD can play center is like the next ask of them if he wants to.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be like really entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
like I feel like they'll be fun to watch. But when it comes to like taking the team to the chip, shooting runs this league.
Yeah,
and Westbrook's very inconsistent. Don't get me wrong; like he can score. He can score. But like he's not the type of shooter that the Lakers needed. If I was the Lakers, I would have probably traded for Buddy Hield.
Yeah, and traded a bit less, but yeah,
because they were talking about re-signing Schroeder.
Yeah,
and like that backcourt would have been defenseless. Like they would just be scorers. But I mean, like if I'm the Lakers, I think the Lakers just I don't mind the trade at all.
No,
like I think it gives them a bit of star power, a bit more star power, and but like if I'm the Lakers in free agency, which starts I think in a few days, you got to go out and sign a lot of actually quality shooters, not these veterans that you can sign to the minimum.
Yeah.
I don't know what their money situation's like. It might, like they must have a bit of money, because they've obviously offloaded Caldwell-Pope, who was on a slightly margin deal.
I would keep him there, honestly. Yeah,
I personally would have tried to give up someone else. They got Taylor Horton Tucker, which is actually he's a good young prospect, but he's not going to. He's not a great shooter. Like he's not known for his scoring. I think I think LeBron has always had a good scorer with him. Don't get me wrong. The big three that they've got now, they can all score at will.
Yeah.
But in terms of fit, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because like they I don't know. I don't know what the spacing's going to be like.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Like, do you let Russ have the ball a bit more, but then LeBron's again not a spot up shooter really.
Yeah. So like there's players like Kelly Oubre, Patty Mills, players like that who probably would be interested in playing for the Lakers and can actually score the rock at will. So like if I'm looking at scorers in this free agency, like that's all I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Because you've already got the defensive anchor in Anthony Davis. You've got a fantastic defensive point guard in Russell Westbrook, who I think is actually an underrated defender.
Yeah.
So like if I'm them, I'm really just looking for scoring. Serge Ibaka is another one. He's a big that you can get that can stretch the floor. He can come off the bench.
Defensive as well.
Yeah. Dennis Schroeder, obviously. They were talking, hang on, I've got it here. They were talking a 4 years, 120 million, just 30 million a season. If I'm them, I'm just letting him walk. I'm not even biting on that.
That'd be so stupid to do that. Not even for like what we know he can do. Like he can get 20 a game, but he's not going to get 20 a game with Russ added onto it.
I think now that Yeah, I think now that you've got Westbrook, like he's going to go back to the 6-man role, and like
Yeah,
if I'm paying $30 million a season for a 6-man, it's just like terrible.
yeah.
There's other players. There's Spencer Dinwiddie,
Mm.
Norman Powell, who's got a player option. He might just accept that. Duncan Robinson, he's a big one. Tim Hardaway Jr. Like there's Danny
Yeah.
Green again.
I'd go for
There are
Dinwiddie, I
so
think.
many like I'd go for Dinwiddie,
He's
Evan
a bit of a
Fournier as
risk.
well. I think Reggie Jackson, who had a great playoffs.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry, but that's kind of off the table now. Like there was rumors for DeRozan and Lowry,
Yeah, I
and I
saw
think
that.
DeRozan is a free agent this offseason. Yeah, he's a free agent. So like that's actually something that you could bring again. It's
No,
like
like the shooting though, yeah.
DeRozan can score. DeRozan can score, but he's not a 3-point shooter. Like if you're the Lakers, you need 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's obviously like Kawhi's a free agent.
Mm.
But yeah, so it's a big trade. Like it's gonna be so exciting to watch. And like I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I feel like they jumped the gun a bit early on it though. I feel like going for someone like a Buddy Hield who has potential and he's a lights out shooter probably would have been a bit of a better option to start off with.
Hell, you
and
could have even gone after Brad Beal.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, exactly. And you know, Hield doesn't have too much, like he's not making too much at the moment, so it's not like yeah, and you kind of give up Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell for a 1-year rental, I feel like, because of what they kind of showed to be in last year's playoffs. Or this past year.
Yeah. There's obviously now because I was really excited about this potential Miles Turner coming to LA.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of off the table now because you've just traded away assets and stuff for Westbrook. There's so many other fits that are among these, like not rumors, but like, you know, players
potential
that are willing to that want to get out of their current state.
Turner's
one. Kyle Lowry's one.
He would be perfect.
Miles Turner is one. Hield, Bradley Beal, like there's all these players that are, you know, probably better fits in my eyes. But yeah, so good trade, like overall decent trade. Like for what they gave up.
Yeah.
Like
Russ.
it's you got Ross out at for Kuz, who had a terrible year. Harrell, who didn't play much, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who can just kind of score when he kind of wants to. And I think Caldwell-Pope will actually be good in Washington because you're sharing. Well, it depends if he starts the season, but you're sharing the backcourt with Brad Beal.
Yeah.
So, I think he's gonna have to carry a bit more of a load now because he's obviously not playing with LeBron and AD.
Yeah, someone else needs to score.
But like some players with a bigger load. Pause. Some with a bigger offensive load, they sometimes better. But yeah, away from that, the Pelicans and Grizzlies actually had a trade before the draft. So the Grizzlies have sent Valanciunas and I think the 17th pick to New Orleans. Yep, for Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, and the 10th pick, maybe.
Yeah,
and I think it was more just like a salary. Really?
Yeah. You get Bledsoe, you get Steven Adams, who's like not up there as a center, but he's still a solid center. And I mean, yeah, you take in a bit of cap, a lot of cap actually, but and you get did they get the 10th pick or they traded the 10th pick?
The Pelicans traded the 10th pick.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, that might be.
So I think it's good for the I think it's better for the Pelicans. But I think like both teams won.
Yeah,
anytime that two teams get like a solid amount of players and some picks involved, like it's just like a win-win kind of thing. Like it's not really I don't think it's that crazy, like that bad for any team. Good for Pelicans. They shed money off the cap. They've now got enough money to match any Lonzo Ball contract, which is something interesting. Which I think he's a perfect point guard if you're trying to build around Zion.
Yeah.
He's had a rocky start to his career, but he's still productive.
Yeah.
He's a good playmaker. Obviously, his jump shot has improved immensely.
Yeah.
And he's a very underrated defender. And they've also brought in Valanciunas, who is probably one of the most underrated bigs in the league. He can bang it inside. He can grab 20 boards every game.
Yeah.
He can now stretch the floor. He's actually improved his shooting. He shot a few threes last year. Steven Adams, a very inside big who didn't pair well with Zion. But still good for the Grizzlies. Bledsoe can, if he stays, he's a great backup for Ja. He can help mentor him. They have the 10th pick as well. Obviously, the Grizzlies always trade well. They drafted. Sorry, I said trade or draft well. Anyways,
oh no.
The Grizzlies always draft well. They obviously got Desmond Bain last year. They got Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen, Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant. Like they've always drafted pretty well. So really, that trade is probably like a win-win and very balanced trade. Like I'm not even mad about it. But yeah, so those are two big ones so far. Josh Giddey went. Just shout out to the Aussie. Went number 6 in the draft.
Don't watch him much at all.
Yeah.
I know.
Like I kind of watched him near the end of the NBL season. Like I didn't really know much about him coming into the NBL season, but once I kind of heard a bit more about him, started to watch his highlights a bit more. I don't think he should go on 6. I think he was like a 12, like 10 to 14. But I think the Thunder just tried to take a bit of a leap because they obviously want to keep Shea there, and I think he'll actually kind of be a good paired backcourt with Shea.
They got plenty of picks,
so
anyway,
apparently, they traded for another one. They traded for another one yesterday. Yeah, so they traded a second-round pick for Derek Favors and a future first because I think Derek Favors' contract is like huge in Utah. Also, the Raptors might be trying to trade Siakam after drafting Scotty Barnes at number 4 yesterday. You should actually look at his highlights because this guy is like a defensive demon.
Scotty Barnes.
He's like OG Anunoby on steroids.
And they need to get Pascal out of there. So,
like, he's an. I think you can easily get trade Siakam for a few solid pieces. Hell, even Siakam for Simmons. You never know.
Honestly, that would be.
Yeah,
that would honestly benefit both sides as much as both players have been kind of shut on this past year. That would be the best outcome they could both get because no one's kind of wants either one in a way.
And Toronto is a very new place. Well, I don't even know whether they'll be playing next season. They played in Tampa, I'm pretty sure, last season. Anyways, I think Ben Simmons would actually fit well in Toronto because he would kind of.
He's got scorers around him.
He's got scorers around him. Yeah. And I think he could actually score at will if he really wanted to, which we all know he can.
Yeah.
And just, this is kind of off topic. The Boomers won on Wednesday night. Very tight game. Nico Mannion showed up.
Yeah.
He went crazy.
Great game.
Great game. Man. Yeah. Very interesting. Matisse Thybulle is he's the X factor of that team. The X factor.
Yeah.
And Jock Landale, Jock Landale team high 18 points. Pretty amazing. But also I came across this thing the other day. The Sixers they offered a deal to the Spurs. So they offered Ben Simmons they wanted four future picks, 3 pick swaps, and a young star for just Ben Simmons. Like, are the Sixers asking for too much?
Yes. They've asked a bunch of teams for way too much. I've seen.
I don't like. Yeah, it's
They need to know. They need to understand his worth before you trade him.
Yeah.
Like, he's not. Man, the perfect time to trade him would have been last season because he still had value. Like, he still was definitely like still all-star player, and he's still an all-star player. He's just his flaws have just come to the spotlight even more, and not showing up in the playoffs again is like pretty, yeah.
Yeah. It
been
was
like 3 years since he has been able to show up.
Yeah. I'm just gonna run you through some trades that happened yesterday. Landry Shamet traded to the Suns for Javon Carter in the 29th pick. That is value. That is value. Landry Shamet lit up. He was lighting up. He's the spark off the bench that they need. This is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
When they were down in the playoffs, they needed a spark off the bench. They've got Landry Shamet who can just be a spot up shooter. He can come on and hit 6 threes.
Yeah.
With just ease. Like, he's in a great off ball mover.
He can slash as well.
Great defender.
He's got a bit of everything.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. So I think that was a good trade. This is one that I found really interesting, but I actually don't mind. Ricky Rubio traded to the Cavaliers. Yeah. I know I'm a Cavs fan, but this is actually like a good trade. This is a good trade. You gave up Taurean Prince. Ricky Rubio can help mentor Darius Garland. He's obviously a vet. He can score when he wants to. He's a great playmaker. I think he'll be really good for the culture because it's like, I don't know, he's just an unusual fella. And I think it's weird. Like, I think he'll fit nicely in Cleveland. Mason Plumley traded to the Hornets. Yeah, you were going to say, sorry.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to say, yeah, they've been needing a playmaker like since Bron left, basically. Like, they've got a bunch of guards, but in terms of an actual playmaker, like Rubio fits that spot and they'll be good for them. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously I think Sexton still is on the trade block. I don't really know why. I don't understand. Like, think about it. They drafted Evan Mobley yesterday, who could actually be the best player in the draft. He can stretch the floor. He's like an elite rim protector. And he can finish inside. So I reckon he'll pair well with Jared Allen. I think they'll trade Kevin Love in the offseason.
He needs to go.
And hopefully get some either picks or like a young player, but like his value is just diminished. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he just gets traded for like 2 seconds. Like, I don't know. Cade Cunningham went number 1 to the Pistons. This is the franchise player. This is going to move your franchise into, like, this is going to help your future. Like, the Detroit Pistons have been, hate to say it, dog shit for the better most of a decade.
Yeah.
And you have finally got something to be happy about with Cade Cunningham, one of the best players coming out of college in years. 6'8" point guard. He can stretch the floor. He's got great athleticism. He's not freaky athletic. Jeez. Yeah, I know. He's great. He's a great athlete, but he's not a freak athlete, but he's still active. He's a good guy. He can pick and roll defenses. I think it's just what they needed. Houston, Jalen Green, probably the best scorer in the draft. That'll be exciting to watch with Kevin Porter Jr. That backcourt will be sick. And if they keep John Wall, I think John Wall will be good for them. The Rockets don't even have a bad team going into next season, especially if they sign some good free agents. You've obviously got John Wall, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Jay Sean Tate, Kenyon Martin Jr., Christian Wood.
Yeah.
Like, they've got a good core, and that's what they need. So obviously Evan Mobley at number 3, which is going to be great. Scotty Barnes to the Raptors at 4. Like I said, watch his tape. He's just a freak.
I need to watch up on some of them. Yeah.
Jalen Suggs, who is
sucks my balls.
He reminds me of Jason.
Sorry,
fuck off. No, nice. I like it. The Magic took Jalen Suggs these nuts at number 5. I reckon it's the steal of the draft. He's like Jason Kidd, a young Jason Kidd. I honestly thought the Raptors should have taken him because he would have paired well with Freddie. Number 6, obviously Josh Giddey, and another great pick, Jonathan Kuminga to the Warriors. But yeah, that is just like a light, I don't know, a light episode. We kind of got some stuff covered. We might do like a free agency preview. I don't know. We got to really schedule this out and just try and map out what we want to do, because otherwise it just gets a bit confusing. We've been trying to be really consistent with this, and I think we've been trying to do about 3 episodes a week.
Yeah.
And I think consistency just wins over everything. So we really love doing this. I say this. We both say this every episode.
Yeah, I know.
I really love doing this. It's just fun. Like, it's very good. Lottie, anything you have to say?
No, I mean, if anyone actually would like to jump on, we're happy to have guests as well. Like, if you love 100%. Talking basketball, just hit us up, and we'd love to have you on. Yeah,
definitely. We're trying to grow this. Obviously, it's a slow process, but yeah, if anyone wants to have a go and chat some shit about basketball, we'll be doing season previews soon. But the Lakers are
interesting spot.
Are looking good. They're in an interesting spot. They're still the second favorites for the championship. Don't know about that. Bucks are paying $10 if you want to have a dabble in that. Yeah.
Okay.
Weird.
We'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is episode 3 of the off season. Done.
Bang.